It's Woman to Woman on Independent Television. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's edition. When a woman hurts another woman or a girl, you begin to wonder what is happening. Is she more human than the person she's hurting? And when the person being hurt is a child, it makes you want to cry sometimes. You see quite a number of things going on in the society. You see a lot of things going, so bad for the young girl, particularly that girl who does not have somebody to speak up for her. You will be wondering if we are all human beings created by one God. Today we're going to look at child protection. Go to the streets of Benin, go to the streets of wherever you're staying. You see children who are underage being subjected to very, very wicked acts. Take for instance the young man somewhere in the east who was having intercourse with an 11-year-old with the support of the girl's grandmother. After each session he gets to pay the grandmother some amount, maybe 1,500 or 2,000, and you will be forced to wonder if that grandmother is human. Okay, joining me today to talk about child protection is Comrade Grace Obakina. She is the initiator of Caring Heart Initiative, and it is an NGO that deals with all of these and even more. So thank you, Grace, for finding time to be with us on the program. And I must commend you. You're doing well.
Thank you so
much. At least most of the girls I know now are happy. And my belief is that with time you will do even more. Okay, I will with the support of you watching this program, okay? Now, child protection. Have you taken time out to look at the streets of Benin? At least we're in Benin here. Have you really gone around to see what is happening to our little girls on our streets? And it brings to mind the Child Protection Act. What are we doing with that act? Is it just in paper? Because I know since 2003 the act has been there, and it is to protect children from, and when we talk about children or a child, we're looking at 18 years downward. Now talk to me. Have you really gone around the streets of Benin to see what is happening?
Okay. Thank you once again. When you were speaking and you're talking about inhumanity to another, and
perpetrated by a woman to another woman.
Attention so deeply what's happening to our society today. And I want to thank God that just recently the Child Rights Act, it's under review, just like we had for the VAP that has to be revalidated. Now we're talking about child protection. Everybody thinks that it's just the parent of a particular child that should protect the child. And the scenario you gave also brought me back to someone knew something and spoke up. That was what brought about that woman being exposed. For the height of every exploitation that is perpetrated on every child should not be covered, because it's one thing for a child to be protected. It's another for a child to be abused. It's another for the child to be exploited. Because for you to take a child, whether yours, even your child or someone's child that's with you, and you're not being able to give this child the necessary support he or she needs, you neglect the basic things that this child needs to develop and be a human. And outside all of this, you begin to exploit this child. Because it's not just those of them that are on the street begging. We're talking about children that ought to be in school, that are not in school. They are helping you to make money, and you are not spending that money on them. You are exploiting that child. You are killing that child, both morally, physically, and otherwise. Whatever it takes for the child to develop, to be somebody in the future, you are destroying it. And this will not work properly, because it's what we give to our children today, they turn back to give to society. And the minute you deny this child the appropriate development that they need, you discover that they manage, they struggle, they turn out to be whatever the society gives back to them. From the things they see on the street, from the things their colleagues exposes them to, from the things that in the build of trying to build this resilience, they turn out to be someone very violent, and anything can go. We're talking about child protection. Every human being on earth is endued with the responsibility to protect the children.
Okay, let's extract some of the rights of the children here now. maybe that person out there who is exploiting these children don't really know. Let's just quickly explain what are some of the rights of these children, the basic rights.
We have these beautiful rights of the children. We're talking about their right to education. We're talking about their right of their physical body not being tampered with. We're talking about their right not being denied to associate. Especially, I want to pin my argument or my discussion this morning on education, because if you check all of the rights, it's built upon that education. Because it is when the child is not denied the basic knowledge and information that he needs that he will even know he has a right. You know, recently on that review, we discovered that the penalties that are lined up for these abuses are so naughty that we need to pay so close attention. And thank God it's gradually getting to the House of Assembly, and I know in a very short while. So that when our parents begin to know that the penalty for you to even draw tribal mark on your child's face is denying that child his right, because the consent, we're talking about the child's consent, whatever you want to do, that the children is not carried along, that they are not sought, you did not seek about their consent, or if it's okay by them.
Some persons have argued that trying to seek consent, trying to domesticate the Child Rights Act is like taking our culture out of it. We are trying to treat our children like they are eggs, they shouldn't be tampered with.
That's not true.
It's like spoiling our kids.
That's not true. I want to get my child something, and I asked her, I want to get this. She's got the right to say, Mommy, I prefer the red color.
Okay.
She's got the right to say, Mommy, I prefer the white color.
Okay.
Oh, Mom, I don't like this. The choices they make is left for us to guide and not to impose. Because every good child that is nurtured in a well-deserved home where proper training and upbringing is given won't even want to do anything that is outside the norms. So you guide them and let them know the reasons why this and this. You could even do a good negotiation with your children. And both of you come back to the basis of their consent. It's all still about, at the end of the day, they are able to, instead of cajoling and forcing them to make.
Does the Child Rights Act violate any of our culture?
It doesn't.
Religious norms.
Anyway, just today we're doing a training at Uzebus, and we brought the children together and we're teaching them some of their rights and how to negotiate. Just the way we teach them how to negotiate with parents. So we also teach parents how to negotiate with children. Because when we're talking about their protection, they need to know to what extent they can be allowed to do some things, to what extent your guidance as a parent is needed, and when it is done, it's not trampling on their right. But all we're saying is all of these began to generate when we saw a high increase in the various type of abuse. Is it the physical? Now we say, are you going to say I shouldn't beat a child? Flog your child. But imagine when you flog your child and she's got marks all over her body. Her emotion is deepened. She has to be withdrawn. Before you know what is happening, she feels dehumanized. She just feels that, oh, my mom don't love me. It is an act of wickedness that will make a child feel that this beating. You know, there are some parents who don't want to beat their children, don't go there. Oh, that's very well. You know, you use all your fix that, like you're beating someone of your age. These children are still developing. Every part of their body, their brain is still developing. And so we should be mindful. We've got several ways with which we can discipline children. You know, a child is fond of watching cartoon. He wants to play. And the child knows that. We're talking about consent now. Let me quickly draw this. It's better you bring your children. They should be the ones to list all the offenses that they could be in the house. When you don't wash your plate, this is the offense. Then ask them what will be the punishment. When they list it out themselves, they already know what awaits somebody that is not washing plate. And because they don't want to be punished, you see them not getting to do that. If you tell a child that is a lover, like in each home, I'm sure you should have the time you're reading, the time you're playing, watching cartoons and all that. And you say, okay, if you don't do this for the next 2 days, and what usually happens is that when we make such laws, we end up breaking such laws. And because they not discover that you are not discreet in your decision, they want to play with it. So when a child knows that if I do this, in the next 2 days I'm not going to watch the best thing that matters to me, the child will want to do everything not to fall into that trap. And believe you me, that will give them more reasons to want to do the right thing rather than living in fear. Because when you beat a child today, tomorrow, he gets used. You see some, you won't even ask them to bring their hand. They will just stretch for their hand because they are now used to it. We were talking about emotional. You don't sit down to dehumanize the life of a child. You use all sorts of negative words. You rubbish them. You kill their self-esteem.
Why is it okay for parents to do that to their children? Especially when they are angry, yes.
Abuses. You use harsh words, dehumanizing words on children that God gave you to be caretaker over. You know, by the time you end up estranging their minds, they go to a corner and they start thinking. Ill thought begins to build up and develop in them. And they want to like, oh, so this is all they could say about me. This is the conclusion my mother or my father, my auntie, my uncle has reached about me. How do I do it? And such things, especially the emotional abuse, is one of the high rates of suicide that we're having today.
Parents don't have the yardstick to measure emotional abuse in their children. They just see it as one of those things. The fact that you suffered verbal abuse from your parents, and you think that you're quite lucky to be able to get out of it and turn out to be a good person. But what about those who could not divorce their minds from such abuses and pains and all of that they went through? They turn out negative. That's not enough for you to do that to your own child. So, and particularly when parents are not in agreement at home, you see, father says kneel down, mother comes and says no, kneel down, you stand up, or father says do this. No, how do we balance that at home?
Let me use this opportunity to plead with our parents. The lives of our children is just too important for us to toil with. And whatever we do today goes a long way to speak. Let's do our agreements indoors so that when we come out, we become an icon, people that our children could look up to and use. For example, sometimes just take your children and ask them, to the girls, ask them, if you grow up, would you want to marry someone like your father? Their response will go a long way to tell you the kind of work that you need to do. To the men, if you grow up and I happen to be the only woman, would you marry somebody like me? A lot of us don't be surprised at what our children will throw at us because we're already setting a wrong. If as a father, no matter how much you love a child, and your mother says a child should kneel down, the best thing you can just turn it to a joke. Hello, sweetie, can I see you inside? You go in, you are pleased. I know she's done something wrong. I'm sorry on her behalf, but please, you shouldn't even be the one to say stand up. And it can be so authoritative and the child will know you are imposing on your wife. It goes to spell that I can do anything wrong, my daddy will speak for me. I can do anything wrong, my mom will speak for me. And you are already instigating that child. And guess what? Whatever you ask that child to do to your wife will come back to you because you're already building that disobedient spirit in that child. So it takes nothing to actually excuse your wife, plead with her, make her see reasons why she should please. And even if she's not consenting, you negotiate. You plead with her, the child must have done something hurting. Then let her go back and release the child from that punishment, not you. The same thing goes to women. You can't love your child more than their father. And please parents, when punishing our children, let's be careful because you don't know the one slap that will ring the head of that child and make things go wrong. Well, let's come down a bit to the area of neglect. The reverse actions we are seeing on our children today is what we had, the aftermath of the neglect that they've suffered. The time they need our company when we are not there, they begin to do things on their own. And now that they have developed to the stage of doing things on their own, you just come from the abuse one day and you want to change it. It's always very difficult. So when you know you want your child or your children to grow in a particular way, pattern and manner, always be there to guide them. So that it's not when they have built resilience over some things, you just want to come change it. It's going to be difficult. And then you discover that parents and children are running headless. So that area of neglect will become too busy. You don't have time to talk with your children. Like I tell somebody, there should be one day. If you are the very tired that busy weekdays, your Saturday, it could just be 1 hour. sit down, tell your children to come, and be sincerely be on a very neutral note.
Okay.
Don't pose this father-mother authority thing. Just be like them. Pretend that you are a child for that day. Tell me everything daddy or mommy does wrong that you want me to change. You will hear a lot of what they will say.
Okay, now let's look at these children that are being used as child maids, because we have it everywhere now. You see a child carrying a child for a grown-up woman. You know, I was in the market the other day and I saw this girl, maybe 10, 11, strapping a big baby. The baby is not small, the baby, a big baby. And then when you look at this girl, she's not properly dressed. She had bedroom slippers on, and the woman's baby was so gashed up and all of that inside the market. And she was yelling at the girl, walk fast, I'm in a hurry. And I was like, something that you couldn't do as an adult. It's a shame you're asking a little girl to do this. And then somebody said, now house girl now. So because she's house girl, she should die for you. Is it a shame? I don't know why women decide to you want a maid, no problem. Nobody's quarreling with you, nobody's disturbing your body. You want a maid. Why don't you take somebody who's 18 and above? You're taking a child who is 12, 11, 10, even 9 sometimes, and that child will not go to school. And you're comfortable as a woman and you have your own kids.
And funny enough, I don't get it. That 12-year-old will date the 10-year-old of that child. Okay. And I asked the question, what's the difference between your 10-year and the 12-year that is staying with you? Okay. And let me say this, it's a shame on you when you're going out and people can easily tell who is your housemaid. A big shame on anyone. Okay. There shouldn't be difference, because this child is also someone's child. Situations may have warranted that child to be with you. But I also want to beg people living around, it will not be out of place for you to identify a child that is being exploited and that person to be reported.
You know, this issue of it's none of my business, I don't want police wahala, I don't want community wahala, you know, all of that would usually
colors.
Usually it holds some people back from
colors. You don't need to go to the police. That is why we stand like in between. She said something like, a lot of persons out there, they don't have who to speak for them. We are here to speak for you. If you don't know how to go to the police, call us. So we will be the ones to frontline it. You see someone that is being dangerously exploited, please don't keep silent about it. Because if that child dies today, or that around that community, guess what? Every deviant first starts operation around their locality. You become a victim of it. So like I was saying, it's a disgrace for you, for people to easily identify who is your housemate. And it's fun for me. It was fun for me backing my children. You know, I was so proud to be a mother.
This day I don't find
my children young mother in a very attractive manner that people would like want to love to be a mother. So I don't know what you are ashamed of. Apart from that, man, there is this trendy one of a woman, you will just hold a 2-year-old boy on the hand, and you are crossing the roadblock and you want the child to run. Most times when I'm driving past, I usually throw words at them and say, you want to tell me that this child is too heavy for you to carry? Then why did you give birth to the child? And that's what road you will be running. Please, let's begin to adjust. In the name of fashion and modernity, we are spoiling a lot of things. And where's the bond? We used to know the way you carry your baby, you back your baby, the child is always on your chest. That's why our mothers could tell our husbands, you suckled this breast, I carried it, because there is this bond. There's this bond. That's the love. So when you suddenly begin to throw your children for your mates to carry, I wonder where the bonding is going to connect. So let's begin to look out for other people's children. You are worthy. Your children are grown.
Some of those children even sleep in the bed of the maids. They don't sleep with their parents.
Okay,
because they don't want noise.
Yeah, they want privacy. Or even if you have their room, it's not out of place when they're a bit grown. You should always do your regular checks instead of leaving them to the housemate. Okay, there's this scenario of a young boy of 7 years that was so active in sex, and the mother, when they found out, was shouting, ow, ow, ow. You have a child that you will go out and come back. He's sleeping. You don't have opportunity to discuss how his day went. So how would he be able to tell you, Auntie touched my private part or my penis or asked me to kiss her or asked me to touch her breast? You wouldn't know because before you get back, the child has slept. So we're talking about neglect. And funny enough, it's not only those that are not well-to-do that are victim of this. Even the so-called well-to-do. Everything is a house help. Everything is a housemaid. They should take care of. If you don't look out for your children, you won't even know when their temperature. Something happened 2 weeks ago, I think last week or so. I think I mentioned to you. Yeah. There is this, if you're able to check up on your children regularly, the little signs that come, you'll be able to identify before it becomes a very big issue. So let's come back home. Every child you exploit, there are penalties for it. You want a child. I helped my mother to sell, but that was when I returned from school, and then it was like a shop. So I sit, somebody comes, you have like fun. It was fun. You want to quickly run, okay, let me give, and all that. I did all of that. But that did not deny me going to school. It did not deny me when I want to go and, because then I used to love this playing ball. It does not stop me when I want to go play ball, but I must have done my choice. Now, by the time you don't share duties for your children, because they have one house girl that is 12 years old to do it for them. When they get to that age, they become useless to you. And then you find it difficult to blend them into becoming homely. So that house girl, and that would be very difficult. Yeah, that house girl is growing up to be someone that is very hardworking and industrious. To you, you're punishing that child. For every neglect, to every exploitation, to every child abuse, to every emotional abuse that we give to children, let us know that it will hit us back and the government is behind us. Talking about the Child Rights Act, it's working. Just the way we have for rape today, you know, a lot of people are so cut off rape as the only form of abuse. Yes, it is one of the major because it has to do with the physical, temporary, and damaging of the body, even emotional. But we have little abuse. If you're a mother or a father, you still wear ordinary bra in the house and ask your children to bring things for you in the room. You are just molesting that child. You are abusing that child. You are making the child get used to the male and the female organ. And so when somebody is about hearing that, they don't know the difference. They don't know the difference. As a man, you're wearing boxer and you think it doesn't matter. And your children just come into the room to do things with you. Your girl child. You are exposing the child and it is wrong. There is a difference between you teaching your children sex education and giving them practical. There is a big difference. So let's begin to identify and begin to separate all of this so that at the end of the day, we have brought up our children the best way and prayed for God to guide them. When they're not going mixed into the society, they're able to filter the good from the bad. And the peer influence will not be so strong on them and making us proud parents and having a good society to live in.
All right, Grace Obakina. Thank you so much. You've spoken so well. And I believe that parents at home, even the children, are listening. As a child, if you're being abused, if you're being molested, if you know that something that is not good is happening to you, please speak up. If you cannot locate any police station, you can find an adult around that you can at least be very careful of that adult, okay? You need somebody. If you go to church, you can quickly seek your pastor's attention or the pastor's wife or somebody around. Explain to that person what you're going through. If you say something, you will get help, definitely. And if a child says something to you, please don't keep it. Don't hide it. Don't say you want to protect the person the child is complaining about because you are aiding and abetting something that is very dangerous and it will hit you back. And for you parents, a word is enough for the wise. Thank you, Grace, for finding time to be with us
so much
on the program. So we'll see you again next week, Monday, on Woman to Woman. Please be good.
Bye.